Morena tātou katoa, tā whana mai ngā whitu o te ata. I want to sing my waiata to you all, but I'm going to save it for later. But it has such beautiful kupu, and I want to just talk about today the regurgitation of information. Regurgitation of information. It sounds like a bit of a rap. And what is regurgitation? Well, it's a type of momo ruaki, the spewing of information of kōrero, the spewing of it, regurgitation. And I came to the conclusion quite recently about all of our matariki wānanga happening around the country, and I was getting a little bit muke, a little bit sad for my papa te kai mākeha. For years and years, we talked about the dream of teaching people about maramataka and to believe in our ao Māori. And now that there's such a resurgence in the interest and the want and the desire to learn about this, my papa isn't here, and I was getting muke for him. And I thought, you enjoy every moment of this wā o te makariri of our winter time and our tauhou. And so I've been using the kupu wānanga a little bit, wānanga, and I just thought, I wonder if that's the correct term for some of the activities happening during the matariki period around teaching about our stars and our traditions. And I think we perhaps need to consider what wānanga actually means. So wā means time, and the wānanga is about making the most of our time, but not really our time as people listening, but the tohunga's time, kaua tātou e momo, so we can maximize the teachings that are about to be shared, but not maximize it in our benefit, but understand that it's a give and take, well, not even that we look after the people that's giving the kōrero over. So I thought to myself, I'm going to change the name. I know I've been encouraging you all to do our maramataka wānanga online. I thought they're not wānanga, they're workshops, they're presentations. Wānanga is something a little bit different. So do a workshop, a presentation this weekend to start to plan out your tauhou o te Māori, your dreams and aspirations for the year about to come using maramataka. And just lately, a lot of people presenting at workshops, pai te kōrero, rawe te kōrero, and I think, oh, hine, you're starting to turn into one of your aunties. You're getting rika. Why? Because I just want to challenge us a little bit more. And how we come into the space of knowing. It is not a competition, it is not a whakataitai. Wānanga is a long process, a very long process. And so in this pop-up world, it's kind of, we want to pop up and we go to a presentation and we like what we hear. And then we kind of change things around a little bit. And then we start to present on it. And I pose the question to all of us to think about when we really get a vibe on something. I pose the question, no hia te rā mātauranga I ahu mai I hia. Where did it come from? What is the source? Ia te whakapapa. What is the foundation? Because that is almost like the quality assurance. If you're able to convene where that comes from and how it has evolved and what has been the influences on us, what has been the influences and the experiences and the reason for us delivering the kōrero. So that's a challenge to myself as well. I thought, okay, Yeni, think about this. Kaua tātou e maumau tohunga. Don't waste our tohunga. Don't leave them outside. Don't put other people up to kōrero before them. Feed them, look after them. So important. Otherwise, ka kati te kuaha. the portal will close. The portal will close. So acknowledging my own tohunga, acknowledging I haka puata. And here's my children's great-grandfather, and here's where our maramataka comes from, that we've shared to everyone at a time when this knowledge was underground. And now it's here. It's a part of us. And I love it. I love it. And we still have I haka's manuscripts, but we've added onto it as a whānau. Yeah, so I haka puata, and I want to acknowledge Papa Te Kai Mākeha, my tohunga, who we lived with for a long time, close by, and asking a tohunga a question and getting an answer, miharo. And also my Uncle Boss Tipene, who saw my interest in maramataka and really encouraged it and gave me a lot of kōrero, and my Uncle Percy Tipene. And I think these people really trusted me with a lot of this information, and over the years working with old people and listening to them, being exposed to their kōrero through Māori media, I thought I need to acknowledge the role that I've been bestowed on through these tohunga giving me this information and saying, me mihio kia tika, me mihio kia tika. Yeah, so just a bit of humility on my part, kōrero whakaiti nei I tēnei ata. Changing the name from wānanga to workshops, very different, and making a real effort to acknowledge all of my tohunga who have contributed to this information that I share with you all. So isn't that cool? I feel like talking a bit more. So I'll answer some questions today. It's, of course, our marama is Māwharu. Māwharu, we have 3 more moons to our big moon of Oturu. Very special time, so I feel like talking a little bit more. And this is our own wānanga. This is our own wānanga. No, is it a wānanga? Or is it a workshop? Or is it a presentation? Or is it a pop-up something? Or is it just something on the social media? What is the kaupapa? What is the kaupapa of the kōrero? Is it to teach, inform, share, whakatika, get right, whakawhiti? It's not up to one person, it's up to many people to share, to come to the right conclusion. Kia puta ki te ao marama, so we gain the understanding. I teach this in my workshops, not my wānanga. I teach this, that we can look at the moon all we like. We can look at the tohu. We can look at Matariki and Puanga, if we know where we're looking. But what is the understanding of it? What is the meaning of it? What is the enlightenment, the knowledge? Kia puta ki te ao marama, the clarity. And so pushing us a little bit further today to really challenge ourselves in our space of learning and making sure we're very tika. We're very tika in our approach to learning, and tika in a Māori sense. Tika in a Māori sense. And we acknowledge and respect all those who have given us kōrero, and we share, but the wānanga, the actual wānanga, is not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And quickly, if you don't respect the wānanga, the spiritual door, because it is a hikoi wairua, it is a spiritual hikoi, the spiritual door will close and it'll whack you on the head on its closure. E tika ana, e mohi wana hoki tēnei. So just, I'm always encouraging us to get a better idea and understanding and clarity and maramatanga about our ao Māori, but we must be very respectful, very respectful. It's not something we can just shake off. Oh, done that, tick. No. It's a commitment, it's a lifestyle, it's a forever thing, generation to generation to generation. And this is why we see certain families that carry the certain kōrero and information, because they know how to look after it and how to respect it. And so they're the puna kōrero, and it keeps going through the generations. This is our carving families, our weaving families, our wānanga families, our te reo Māori families, our teaching families, all of them. So, yeah, that's my kōrero. Let me read some of your questions. Wānanga is not a workshop. That's right. Okay, let's put this up. Ruiha Sterling. It's a big one. Ruiha Sterling. Aye, wānanga is not a workshop. When you are wānanga, then it's a whole process where nothing else exists out of your wānanga. You reconnect with your tupuna. Me wairu time has no meaning in wānanga. You come out of wānanga where you must gradually be reintroduced back to the physical world. Mauri ora. I love that, Raiha. Primo. Who else? Yeah, so I'm going to change all of that, but do a workshop, and it's going to get you into the planning mode, into te tauhou o te Māori. Who else is there this morning? It's very early, isn't it? Kitty Stockman, if anyone's up in Paihia, I need a ride down to pick up my car at the motel where some of my whānau are staying, and I gave them my car last night, and I thought, oh, maybe hikoi. I said last night, I'll just hikoi down, and now kaha nei te ua ki waho. But when I think about the rain, I think about Huirangi Waikiripuru, and he would say, yeah, te take, amu koutou mo te ua. The ua can't stop raining, can it? The rain doesn't just stop raining because we want it to stop. Stop, because it's going to make our lives easier that if it just stops. Instead of wishing things like that won't happen, necessarily won't happen, just embrace it and get out on the ua and talk to the ua. Talk to it. So I like that kōrero, but this morning I don't know if I'm quite up to it. But every moment of every day, I think of all of that kōrero. And I'm constantly trying to make sense of the world I live in, right down to the ua this morning. I te pōra, I thought, yes, and marama pai, be good to go for a hikoi i te ata. Now, ko tai mai te ua, he rere ki anō. Moira ropetini, morena hini. We have to have a good laugh, whānau. We have to have a good laugh. It's imperative. Yeah, so rangi Māori e tihima ngā mihi ki a koutou katoa. But just, that's my kōrero. It's workshops, not wānanga. And we're not be tūpato tātou about our regurgitation of information. Ruaki kōrero. Nō hia, I ahu mai I hia, and hea ha te whakapapa, I roto I te rangi Māori e. Yeah, so that's us. We're at a very crucial time. We're at a crucial time that the portal, if you like, or the tato, is open for us at the moment to really reach in and grasp and wānanga here, really get into the wānanga. But if we're not tika kakapi, it will close. So kaua tātou e momo, let's not waste time. Kaua tātou e momo wā, kaua tātou e momo wānanga. Nō reira, ai, aku mahi katoa ki a koutou, me ngā tohunga katoa, huri noa e te motu, ko koutou I hāpaingia a tātou mā tauranga, I roto I te tika me te pono, mo te aha, mō tātou uri e haere mai ana, engari mō tātou I tēnei wā o te ao huri nei. Hi, so that's ko tira taku kōrero I tēnei ata. Couple more here. Ngā waiata Turnbull, that applies to Zoom hui too at times. Know your place, ruaki kōrero. Koe ruaki kōrero. Do we blame it on the New Zealand education system? Do we? I'm not quite sure. We're talking about it at I te pōra. Some people come to the front, and all the noisy Māori haututus get to the back, and you just don't disturb what's going on. And the reason I'm talking about the New Zealand education system is that it's really stripped our ability to focus on what we actually need to focus on, because we have a bit of we only want to know what is, and this is social media, only want to know what is good for us in the here and the now. Not much of a pai tawhiti, kia maua, kia tina. So thinking ahead and thinking about the longevity of our own personal wānanga. And yeah, so I just like to blame some of our bad manners on colonization. There you go. Why not? Why not? Apple candy. Portal always open to those who seek tūturu. Yeah, and but it's a powerful portal, and it's a wairua, and we don't muck around with the wairua. So that's why I don't like to delve into it quite too much, and that's why I love to get back to the basics, like on the whenua, on the land, in the ngāhere, using wai to whakanoa tātou. No pena ka puta atu i te wānanga, mohio tātou ngā ritenga e pāna ki te wānanga. There's a very special way that we delve into wānanga, and that requires a lot of special rituals before and after for our own safekeeping. Yeah, okay. Come on, everyone. Hit me with some questions. Oh, Hiona Hinare, kia ora from Chile. Ola, e hoa. Ola, ngā mihi ki a koe. Hia ho mahi reira, Chile. Beautiful. I'd like to ponder on how our relations no Peru, of course, we're the inspiration or the whakapapa of our Peru. Our special Māori potato comes from that side of the motu or of the ao, and yeah, makes me feel a little bit hungry. Kua kapi tō tātou nei kōrero. Did you see that? It just went, just cut off. Just cut off, because that's what happens when we are entering a certain realm of kōrero. Things like this need to be turned off. Ko tērā te tohu. So me hoki mai a hau no te ao wairua, me hoki mai au ki te tūkirungi te whenua, me puta au ki waho ki te ua, kia horoia, kia makere, ngā hara katoa o tātou. Isn't that amazing? That stuff just cracks me up. It's around everywhere. And if the tato is open, we'll see it. So what a funny thing that was. Okay. Even the other day when I was talking in Poneke and all the lights went out and everyone was, I says, oh wow, that makes us, uhia, ki roto i te pō, kia wānanga hia. Hori ana grey, he ātāua te kōrero i tēnei ata Mauri ora. We have a 21st i tēnei pō. The day feels really amazing. Mauri ora, hori ana e mihi atu ki tō tātou nei tai tamariki, kua kake ki te rua tekau mā tahi. What a special day for you all. So aku mihi si, rungo mai au te wairo o ngā matua tupuna, tata au te tangi pai mō rātou. Feeling it today on our marama of Māwharu. The fields are on, so beautiful. And 21st is very special. But as we go through the many different stages of our taitamariki's lives, may we celebrate their wahinetanga, their womanhood and their tānetanga. Yeah, you lost me. Joanne Morehu. Oh, where we lost you. Well, did you lose me or did I lose you? Yeah, so what else have I got to say? Michelle Mihana Hansa Morina, would you suggest that we complete the workshop if we have purchased the calendar to complement the purchase? I think so. You can kind of look at this, but to get the real kōrero and how to use this a little bit more than what I talk about today for the actual, yeah, definitely get it. Sonia Cedric, before the portal opens, I tend to center and beam my energy into a quiet space, grounded and anchored to Papatūānuku, so there isn't too much static trouble. Yeah, Mauri ora kia koe, Sonia, definitely, and that's why I believe wānanga does not happen in a massive space of a lot of people. It's very private, very personalized, very intricate, and very tapu, very tapu. Uh, who else? Rawinia Patterson. Going to Maramataka Wānanga today, kei konei I ahuriri, hi kaka te ngākau. Wānanga workshop, Wānanga workshop. I just have to challenge us on this. Morena, what day should I expect today, William Harrison? Every day's a good day, brother, especially when you're from Parapara Ngāti Kahu. You're going to have a good day, good weekend, whānau, right through to the full moon. But we're into a major transition. We're into a major transition at the moment with the full moon coming up, and of course with our tira, kore piriki tangaroa, and also te mārua roa o hene takurua. So it's the longest night then, and that is about this time next week, a little bit after, and then we're having all the planets aligning the sky, and the puanga, and the matariki, and the marama, and so we're starting to tap in. Well, we're trying to tap in, but are we actually going to get it? Moira, put you up again. Ai whakanoa ki te taiao. Yeah, whakanoa ki te taiao is such a rongoa for us. And that's why I know, and I always respect the true experts at Maramataka are the gardeners and the fishermen, because they're living in the ao and watching it all the time. So my acknowledgement to is marrying into a family that never left the gardens and the sea, or our maramataka and our practitioners, and also holding the kōrero tuku iho no te tupuna I haka puata. So yeah, making sense of the world we live in, so true. I'm challenging you all because I know you're inquisitive, you're wondering, you're starting to open, but I want us to do it properly. Ata Māori pā tēnei tupe ngā whangaunga no whangaroa hoki te maramataka I haka, huhana taihoa rider, mōrena hine kōrero, tira te painga o tēnei wahanga. We can just keep talking if I want to talk. We can share. Wouldn't mind getting some guests on soon, actually, so hara noku anō ngā whakaaro, it's just not me. I'm really lucky that in my time of I te wai taitamariki, te reo Māori was just held by a few young people. It wasn't a big thing. I'm the generation that just missed kohanga and just missed kura. And so the people that were interested and really into te reo Māori in my days of being a teenager were far and few between. But last night my good brother, Horomuna and Horo and I were talking about how special our long-term relationships are, forged on our love for te ao Māori. And as we pākeke haere and grow up and get older and have families and mokopuna, that those ties are still there. Kua tūhono ngā here katoa, I roto I tō tātou pono ki te ao Māori. It's amazing how our tūpuna bring us together like that. They bring us together, they're up there, or kia ki runga, ki raro, ki te taha, ki mua, ki muri, and they make sure that we get what we need, and that's a support to come together. Mōrena hene, tēnā koe, pairau atu o kōrero, te ao wairua tēnā, kia pai, kia hāngai, kia ora ngā waiata, pai tō ingoa ki au. George Papuni, what you up to e hori? Ata Māori kia koe. Mōrena hene, the more I learn of Maramataka, the more I feel more grounded. In a sense, I feel like we are decolonizing time. Yeah, I talked about that last night at the workshop. And excuse me. So we this is something that so I don't know if I'm going to share this with you, or I might save this for later, about te huri hanga o te wā, the way everything moves in the universe, the way everything moves. And the clock goes like this. And so, pena, ka kōrero mai koe ki tēnei mo tēnei, mea mai, nā whaiahine e mea mai tēnei kia hau. Not whaiahine, I don't like being called a fire. Fire, where's the fire? That's what my aunties would say. Just hine, hoterine. Hine hoterine. We get back to our names. We don't need to define nana, papa, fire, matua. Our ingoa karanga, our actual names. So we have nōku tēnei. And we actually have two maramataka coming out now, and for you to put on your wall at home, and they're not like this. They're the cycle. And so when you get used to this, we're watching the moon and also using this cycle as a reference. And so with the clock goes like this. The clock. So remember, when I'm watching you, I've got to watch my hands because it's opposite. So yeah, so I'm going like this. So the clock goes like this. Tahi, rua, toru, wha, rima, ono, whitu. Just getting mixed up on my directions here because it's the opposite. So the clock is like that. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 around the clock. And the clock is man-made. The clock is a man-made system to classify time. Why? Tell me why. And it was designed by men, principally for warfare and for strategy and managing how to accomplish something within a system, within a classification system. And the clock goes round and round. We got an auntie from Paoringa, we're like, tick tock the clock, and her little sayings. We call her the witch of Paoringa. And then when we think about the maramataka and our ao, it does not go clockwise. It does not go 1, 2 like that. So what ways? Sorry, I'm not going to put up my hands because it's the mirror reflection. It goes, the maramataka goes in the right way, the tika way, that is counterclockwise. So the clock is the opposite to how nature moves. Everything in this whole world tai ao, this whole what would you call it, universe, goes counterclockwise. It does not go clockwise. So this is in our maramataka that we'll have out this week for you to put on your wall. It will have that. It'll start at whiro, and then it goes, whiro, tiria, ohuata, uenuku, okoro, and so forth. So that's the way. So when we're talking about decolonizing our time, I don't know if we're decolonizing it, but we're resetting and reclaiming and reaffirming the right time, which is our time, the time system of the universe. And so if we think about that, how the clock goes in one direction and nature goes in the other, that's why it's this constant conflict within us, within ourselves, because we are a part of nature, and we're naturally in sync. We're naturally in sync with nature. We try and deny it a lot. We try and be a part of it, but we whakapapa no ngā atua, and we're influenced by the tides and the pull of the moon and the water content within us, and particularly wahine. And So we're influenced by how the universe moves. The universe moves. And so when we're trying to go in the opposite direction of our natural world by following the man-made clock, ko takararu tātou, ko takararu, we're in a lot of trouble. So I don't know if you can ringi kweki your team on next week and say, hey, I'm removing myself of that clock system, and I'm realigning myself to maramataka and to the natural system of the world. I don't think some of us, I know I do, but I don't think all of us could do that right now. But as long as we're aware of it, we gain a lot more clarity, kua marama. We gain a lot more understanding, go, is this why I feel like I'm going against time? Why? We're actually in our own natural time system already. We just need to tap into it and understand that the man-made clock is opposite. So even though sometimes we have to exist and follow those ways of managing things in our everyday lives, as long as we're conscious of the two and aware, we can make it work. We can make it work. Yeah. So what do you think of that one? Can be a constant battle living in the colonized world. It is. It is, but only if we think of it as a battle. Maybe it's actually quite expensive, because then we have, a reference point of what we don't want to do. One of my whānau, some of my whānau from Taranaki, Tihikura Hohaia, said to me that his parents really kept him and his siblings, ngāhina and waiora, separate from a lot of mainstream systems and the colonization of the world. And he said to me it worked really good because they had no idea of it, so you didn't have this constant conflict. Ngā whakaaro e rua, you just have one way, the tūturu way. And I think that's pretty cool, and that's something for us to consider going forward with our kura kaupapa kids and our kohanga reo kids and our uri whakatupu. Do we actually need to expose them to a lot of this kōrero, the systems, the colonization that doesn't necessarily work? Because what a relief if they didn't have to carry that rangirua, that confusion all the time, and they can just focus on the tūturu. And this is why I listen, kaha nei au ki te whakarongo, ki tōku whānau, ki aku hoa. I listen and I think, okay, makes sense. And then I source the information. Nā horomona I mea mai ki a hau. Nā tihikura tēnei kōrero. Nā te miringa tēnei kōrero. Nā huirangi tēnei kōrero. Nā papatikai mākeha tēnei kōrero. Trish Haylock, to align to te ao synchronized living happens. So love your knowledge, would like you to put this knowledge in kura for our tamariki to live by te ao. And that's why I definitely, and this is why I do get hoha. But I hoki aku whakaro kia maumahara kia papatikai mā, and I think, we wish for this day, but more than wishing, we planned for it, that maramataka would be a part of our people's lives again, and that it would return back to us, the knowledge. And for what? Why is this so important? Why is it so important to have better clarity, understanding of our world? Maramatanga. So maramataka is the moon cycle and everything that falls under the influence of the moon. But what we need is maramatanga, the understanding of it. And I think back about all those old people over the years and how they struggled. They struggled to keep all of this information alive and going. And who are we not to respect that? And who are we not to carry it on in a tika way? So I've always been a campaigner against colonization and against government oppression and rule, and being an advocate and a promoter and staunch to our tino rangatiratanga and our rights to live independently in our own country. But at the same time, I don't ignore the work that needs to be done to bring our treaty partners up to speed to have an understanding. But they don't need to know everything. Just wahi kōrero kia whakatikangia. Waiho te wānanga mō tātou. We save our big wānanga for ourselves, and we do share some of our information with our Pākehā whānau so they understand how we think. And then they think, oh, is that why Māori act like that, do that, their culture think like that? Oh, kua marama, I understand, I get it, and then I'm not so defensive. Oh, okay, we can get along together. Tash building when on the time, wānanga is a constant for me. Thank you for explaining and sharing your knowledge for my understanding. You're welcome, Tash. Pēhea he maramataka wahine I would need to own my business to follow that. Oh, okay, I get what you mean. So yeah, the maramataka wahine. So we have two maramataka coming out, and one is, this is all based again on all the teachings that have been shared to us. So one is the maramataka of ihaka, and one is the maramataka wahine, that are different cycles. And so this is a different wānanga altogether that I share with wahine. I'm not going to go into it too much about our own maramataka. For me, the true maramataka is the cycle of wahine. It has to be. All of our time, space, and activities of our world is based on, our Māori world, is based on the maramataka of the wahine. And I'm going to tell you this because I want to share. I want to share today because I know kua puare, everything's open. You're going to get it. You're going to understand. So, what happens when, if women aren't taking birth control? What happens when we experience our wā, our hine, our time of the month? What happens? What happens in a whānau? What happens with our when we're living in a house with our sisters, with our mama, even our grandmothers, our nieces, even going to work, our workmates, the other wahine? What happens? Oh, Morena Blake. Where's Blake? I'll put him up. What happens, whānau? Our teen parents will carry on your kōrero with their babies. Oh, I'll put that up. Uriana, thank you. Well, we all know, because we get all a bit rika at the same time, that women, we start to sink. Kotahi ai tātou, we start to come into sync. We experience te wā a hina, te wā a hine, te ikura, te awa atua. We experience that together at the same time. And so, Linda Elizabeth, kōtahitanga. Yes, kōtahitanga. Jessica Summers, we align our cycles. Yeah. It naturally happens. Kua tau mai a Maui. It naturally happens. And I'm just laughing at some of the comments I can't quite put up. Let's put this one up. Hold on. Where are you? I'm getting to it. I'm taking my time today because I got a message I want to share with you. Harangi, morena. Our men know once a month go visit your mates. That's right. If they're following maramataka, they'll actually go before the incident happens. So we get in sync, and then we all experience this together. And it's a very sacred and tapu time. And the men go. Where do the men go? They all leave. They go. Haere ki te hikika. Go fishing. It's usually not a bad time to go fishing. And the wahine come together and we come together in our whare ahina, our whare marama that I'm building at the moment for our wānanga in Motatau. And we come together, and it might be our whare pora, because we're not outside, we're not in the garden, we're not collecting flax, we're not collecting rongoa, we're not doing everyday menial activities. We're restricted, we're in a state of tapu. And then when we come together, now, nōku tēnei te kōrero ki a koutou. E mai koutou, nā hine hoterine i whakamarama mai tēnei kōrero a hau, and tino puna nā hau ki tēnei kōrero. Ko tērā tau kōrero, tino pono, tino tautoko a hau, tino mōhio. Koutou. So then we come together, and what happens when wahine are all together? What happens when we all come together? Well, we all know what happens when we all come together as wahine. We're all talking about everyone who's not there, and that's the men. Ngau tuara ana, but not are we just ngau tuara and amu, but we're talking about the take. We're talking about what is happening within our whānau, within our hapu, within our communities. We're talking about what's going on. And we're discussing these issues as wahine. And we're confronting it, we're talking about it. Te kaha ngā wahine ki te kōrero, e tikana te kōrero, rongo au I te pōra, and we're problem solving. We're facing it, and we're problem solving. And we're doing it together because we're in sync, and we're collectively solving these issues and discussing it. And then when we come out of that state of tapu, out of the whare marama, when we come out of that, then the decisions that we have made in that space are being followed by the hapu and the whānau. Kua ia. And so the actual tūturu, maramataka and time system of Māori is the maramataka of wahine. It has to be. It has to be. Because we define the actions of the village, of the whānau and the hapu, based on when we come out of that wānanga, the activities that we perform. Mauri ora ki a tātou, isn't that awesome? So we're seeing in a lot of the wānanga that are happening at the moment, or workshops, and a lot of the tribal leadership, political leadership, community leadership, there's a real imbalance. And when I see on different rōpū, 5 men and 1 woman, that's an imbalance. 6 men and no woman, 2 men and 7 women. Never seen it. So we're in such a state of imbalance too. Te kauwai runga, ranginui, te kauwai raro, papa tuanuku. We're complementary. We can't have one without the other. Men and women are complementary. And so when we're not in balance with the decision making on the political, social, spiritual activities of our people, and the woman's voice is not heard as being the mana wahine, as being the spiritual leaders based on our collective decision making and our wānanga together during our tapu time and kia puta ki te ao marama, well, things are not good. Things are not good. Yeah, so that's us. So we've still got a lot of work to do, whānau. We still have a lot of work to do in correcting the imbalance. So we're reclaiming our time, but we're reclaiming our power as wahine to be able to make the decisions and to be the leaders based on the maramataka of wahine. of wahine. I'm so staunch about that. And the only person talking like this in the space of maramataka is me. Why? Because I don't know why. Because ko te katoa I puta mai ngō ngā tāne. Puta mai ngō ngā tāne. Kōrero ngā tāne. And this is not a kōrero whakahāwea on our beautiful tāne, but it's just for us to be mindful about the balance. And this is the two of the wahine. Like, oh, what's happening over there? Something's not quite right. Whakatikingia. Oh, mokolot's a bit off. Okay, whakatikingia. And so when our wahine are not in a space to be the leaders of the families have a lot of trouble. So I want us to really work on that. That is going to be our goal for the next year, is to get this in balance, corrected. So as we're understanding maramataka, we're understanding the maramataka of wahine. And if you support maramataka, you will support the role that wahine have in the decision making and the leadership within our families, communities, and right across. And we're going to whakatikingia, and we're going to know we're in the right direction, at least when there's half and half representation, at least, if not all. If not all. So this is why when you think about a lot of the maramataka, and I always say this, so there's probably in the archives and stored away, I think Ririata says there's about 500 maramataka. I'd say there's more, a lot more, but all of them have been penned because they've been written. The tradition has been taken out of the māngai kōrero, the passing down, māngai, the knowledge, oral passing of knowledge to the written. And so the penned maramataka that all exist have been penned by men. Te katoa, all being written by men. And why is this? Are you with me? Are you out there? E rongo mai ana o koutou taringa. Are you listening? Are you receiving? Ko puare te tatou. Why is this? Why have all the men penned the maramataka? You know, te maramataka mita te tai, te maramataka maihi kawati, te maramataka wiramu tāwhai, te maramataka I hakapuata, te maramataka te kaimākeha, te maramataka hotirine tipene, te maramataka puehi tipene, and I could just keep going. I love all those men, all my tupuna. Why have men penned the maramataka? Come on, let's see how good you are. Probably their roles at the time. Yep, maybe. Yes. Who else? Te wehi o ēnei kore Megan, Mauri ora. Probably their roles at the time. I'll tell you why, Paula man. Don't leave me just yet, Paula. This is when it gets really good. The men have written the maramataka and count. Ka taute te maramataka, they count the maramataka. Watch it, observe it, watch it, observe, count. Because our men need to observe and count the maramataka to be aware of what is happening. That's what is happening around, and to keep connected with the environment, with the ao, to keep grounded and to be aware. Whereas wahine, we feel it every month. It is within us. We have that time, te wā ahine, our own maramataka. And so this is why the men count taute te maramataka to stay very much connected And I'm so excited about our tāne being able to do this to keep them connected. And us wahine, we're a little bit different because we actually have the natural time system within us. Every month, every wahine, well, most wahine, except for our tamahine and our ruahine, and that's another kōrero, we all experience this. Mauri ora ki a tātou. Mauri ora ki a tātou. So today I've shared some kōrero that I just think that everyone needs to hear as we move into our tauhou, and that we are going to set down some goals for the coming year. Iwi, whānau nei, I tēnei wā, right now. And the goals are, wahine are going to be respected for our rights to make effective decisions collectively in sync for the betterment of our spiritual, our wairua, and our health, family's health, and our tino rangatiratanga. Wahine, and that is the wiro, or that is the kaupapa I tēnei wā nā tātou I hakatakotongia. We're going to put that down as one of our goals for the tauhou. And how are we going to achieve that? We're going to achieve that through wānanga. Through wānanga. A wahine nei. And then when we come out of our wānanga, ka puta ki te ao marama, in understanding and in a state of enlightenment, our tāne are going to tautoko, marika, because they know we are both in balance with each other, and our decision-making rights and our leadership rights as wahine are respected and followed through to get that imbalance corrected. So how do we measure that? How do we measure that? By how much we hear te reo o te wahine, how much we hear the voice of our wahine and the tika voice, and even right down to practically, even more practically, is assessing how many wahine are on our representative boards, committees, iwi runanga, marae committee, right across, no holding back, no restrictions. So let us come back next year in Ngāhuru, in our season for measurement, for seeing how well we worked during summer, how good our plans are now. And when we come into Ngāhuru next year, in, let's say, Painga Whawha, Poutu Te Rangi next year, we'll see how good we got. The next mission is just equalizing everything, taupai, get everything on track and in balance. So when we're holding our workshops, there's the same amount of men speaking as wahine, at least. And when we have our wānanga, it's the same. And men have their safe space to kōrero, our tāne mā, and wahine have our own space to kōrero. And I believe a part of the colonized system, because, I always like to blame that, like we blame the time, is we think that men and women have to be together all the time, live together, do things together, one man, one woman, all of this stuff. That's not our ao Māori. That's not a natural way of living. It isn't that the wahine live with the wahine and the men live with the men. And when it's the marama pai, well, that's when we tūtaki. It is. And even though I'm talking about, mana wahine, I want to also talk about our tāne, and that they need special time too. Special time. But I'm having a good cry for everyone. Pā mai te wairua, o ngā matua tūpuna, o rātou kua wehe atu ki te pō, but kei konei tonu rātou e tautoko. having a cry for our men. They've had it hard. They've had it hard. But we've got to get it right, and we've got to get in balance. We've got to get in balance. Everyone's like, Henny, why do you always cry? I say, why don't you cry? Why don't you cry? Blockage. It's a blockage. Release. Tukua. Cry. Now, I heard this story about Hongi Hika. Hongi Hika, some people will shudder when they hear his name. And talked about when he lost one of his whanaunga, and that such the hotu, the tangi, the crying, the laments, the pain, the anguish, the mamai, and he tangi pai here, hore e mutu, te hupe me te roimata, never stopped. Keep crying, tangi. And I thought, wow, here we think, a warrior like Hongi Hika is like one tough man, hard fella. But in a Māori sense, our men always cry, tukua, have to, let it go. And so we need to unlock a lot of that too. Maybe we'll schedule in the maramataka a good day for a cry, a good day kia tangi. We need to tangi and release all of that. So in the time of wānanga that we're in now, that's what I'm right into, is the ritual of the releasing, of letting everything go, the hara, not carrying it. We're not going to carry it as we go into spring and get into the gardens and back to the whenua. Any trauma that we have, we need to release it now. Now is the time. And that's for our men. Tangi, e tangi, e tangi, e tangi. Let it go. You've done nothing wrong. And that's for our wahine too. Yeah, so wahine, I have some more kōrero. So there's actually some wahine workshops, not wānanga, on maramataka.co.nz. I'm not upselling here, but I thought, oh, that's right. The wahine workshops are on the website. And I think you should just have a look. Today. And I'm talking about a lot of things about not holding on to a lot of the mamai, releasing it, letting it go. So I'm having a cry for you. I'm not crying for me. I'm crying for you. Okay, piki ora. Love my beautiful tupuna. Hongi hika, yes. My children's tupuna as well. He mokupuna rato no hauawe. And just while we're talking about the releasing and the healing, and I just want to kind of clarify a few things around ngā puhi. And often people have a few, we know we're going to talk about it. It needs to be spoken about to heal. And the tension and the past warfare between ngā puhi as being able to obtain muskets before other iwi, and going into other parts of the motu to take kind of utu on other battles that had occurred. And because ngā puhi were early equipped with the muskets, we were able to actually quite decimate, acknowledge it, not treat other iwi very good. And still e mautunu ana e tahi o ngā iwi ki tēnei mamai. Still a lot of our iwi hold this apprehension towards ngā puhi. And I just want to bring it into the light a little bit more, because there's so much healing that has been done since those times, and probably not too apparent to those that don't know. So there's been real direct ways to heal those mamai through tato pounamu, through the gifting of not only special taonga, but also through the union of marriages between us, between ngā puhi and all of the other tribes throughout the motu. And so when some of our cousins down the line, they go, oh, you ngā puhi. I'm like, hey, what do you mean? You're a ngā puhi too. If we all look our whakapapa, there's not one family that doesn't have a ngā puhi in the family. Not one. And I say to them, oh, yeah, you love to hate us, but you also love to love us. Love, hate, love, hate. We have to have a laugh and we have to talk about these things. So wintertime, wānanga, is not just about our higher learning, it's about us getting over everything that's holding us back, about fixing what needs to be fixed, acknowledging it, talking about it, having wānanga about it, not workshops. That's serious stuff. We need to have wānanga. Discussing it, the role of wahine and problem solving it, and how and the actions of the people being defined on how we will get better, and puta atu ki te ao marama is defined on the maramataka o te wahine. O te wahine. Yeah. So tukua ki te ao, we did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong. No one did anything wrong. Not our men, not our wahine, not the ngāpuhi, not the missionaries, not the government. No one did anything wrong. They thought what they were doing was best, and we get over it. We get over it. Kia puta ki te ao marama. Release it. Go for a swim. Go to the water. Go on the moana. Go in the earth. Go in a cave. Haere. Tukua. Tukua. Let it go. And this is why I'm talking like this to you today on this marama. Because when we come into the full moon of Oturu, in 2 more days, we're going to get it on. Yeah, we're going to really look at the moon, and we're going to establish some rituals on releasing all of this. Tukua ki te ao. But yeah, so I think that's all my kōrero for you this morning. In here in Te Tai Tokiro, puanga's up. Puanga's up on the east coast. On the east coast. It's a little bit cloudy. We had planned actually to go out on a big waka on one of the explorers, over 100 of us, to go out and see puanga. And then I looked a few days ago at the weather report and I thought, and the tohu with the awha and all everything going on, I thought, it's not going to happen. I think we're going to postpone it for a couple more weeks. And, you know, you get so caught up on things, going to do this, going to do that, going to do that. And it's like, hey, is it about the first person to see puanga? Or is it about the experience leading up to that? Because hopping on a boat in choppy seas, going out to look for the star, for matariki puanga or whatever we're doing, or climbing the mountain to go and see it, or whatever we have planned. If it's not good for the kids, don't do it. So I thought, I can't have all my nieces and nephews and kids on the waka and going, remember that time Auntie Hene made us get up early to go and watch puanga out on the moana, and then we all got seasick? And kino ngā whakaaro mo puanga. Thought, no, it's not about the stars. It's about the people. It's about the people. So what is the reason we're watching the stars? Why are we watching them? Why? Why is the marama so important? Why is our ao so important? Because if we understand it, it makes our lives easier. Our lives easier. We're in tune. Kua marama. We understand. Yeah, so I like my kōrero to you all today because I get to say whatever I want, however I want. And I'm just sending the message to you out here today on our marama of Māwharu, 3 more marama to Oturu. Do a workshop online, maramataka.co.nz. Get this digital today, 1 in the post. So you're working on it today and you're like, right, I need to get over some of my shit. Yeah. I can't let things hold me back anymore. Yeah. Tukua, let it go. Release it. Tukua, release. And just remember, you did nothing wrong. Forgive yourself. You're the biggest obstacle to stopping yourself to being able to live in the light, in the marama, Wānanga here. delve into your time, challenge yourself, get into the wānanga, noho wahangu, be quiet, don't talk, wahangu. Too much talking, not going to receive the message, not going to receive the message. I think that's my longest one today. We just about had an hour. Oh, I went over an hour. Hey, who's looking at the time? Who's looking at the time? We're on Maramataka, it's Māwharu, it's Puanga, and yeah, that's my kōrero for you all today. Tui tui kōrero, tui tui kōrero. Stringing together, tui tui, not stringing. Stringing's not powerful enough. That's why we've got to learn Māori to understand the actual real depth of our knowledge. Someone asked me that at the marae last night. They said, what do you think is the main thing people should know at these workshops? And I says, well, to kōrero Māori, because if you can't speak Māori, you'll miss out on half of it. Put that into our goal for the new year. Kōrero Māori. Kōrero Māori. I'm going to put that into mine. My Māori's really been lacking at home with my kids, so I'm going to put that into mine. So we have 2 goals. Vanessa wei hongi morena, sometimes for some of us not even letting go and crying of releasing the emotions fixes even when you don't do anything wrong. Yeah, that's why I cry for you all. Some of us that come off certain tupuna, other people challenge all the time. I've been challenged with the taki most of my life from others hapu and iwi just because of my name and tupuna hongi. Love your kōrero though, tukua pai te kōrero, and we'll keep living in the light. Yeah, that's right, and that's why our kōrero about whakapapa is often tapu, and we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. And that's also respect for other people's whakapapa, not just ours, but for other people. Some people, some of our tamariki, mokopuna, they don't know what their whakapapa is. They don't know who their father is, grandfather is, tupuna is. And so sometimes I get very respectful of that too. And sometimes it's not often flaunted when other people haven't an understanding as to what we have. Yeah. So, Hani totorewa, yes e hoa akuna te reo Māori. Kia ora e hoa, ngā mihi ki a koe. Wow, so spoiled. Yeah, we're spoiled. We're very lucky. And who are we not to carry on this kōrero and this legacy and lift it up, get even better than we already are. Yeah, okay, so now I'm going to go, hey, ko mutu te ua, well, the ua stopped. It all works out. And so I'm going to patu te huarahi, hario ki paihia ki te tūtaki aku whangaunga I reira, a mahinga kaupapa, I rongi te āhuatanga o te rā. Some of the whānau were up here for the celebrations or commemorations on Thursday night of a very special event. I won't talk about it too much, just commemorating all of our toa, all of our huia that have sacrificed a lot for us. And I'm no fan of warfare, but I do respect and acknowledge the deeds of others and everything they have done so we can be here right now. Yeah. Whakapapa can be very confronting. It sure is. Haukura Jones, yep, it's clearing up now, sis. Yeah, I'm out there. So just to know that tino aroha nui a hau kia koutou. This is why I get up every morning for you, because I can kind of feel it, like this is when I talk to you, like on the first lockdown, I was like, oh, my iwi's out of sync. They're all worrying about something and it's not even there. Everything's good. It's pai ki te noho ki te kāinga. It's pai ki te whai atu te wā tika I roto I a tātou. And then in the last lockdown, I think in March is when I could feel it again. And so I came back to kōrero. And today I can really feel it. So that's why I'm here over an hour with you, getting you through it, saying, okay, the time is now. The time is now. Get into it. It's puanga. Today is our day to confront to get ready to release on the full moon and to plan out everything we need to let go, everything we need to fix, and then how we will move into our new year and complete action, our plans, our here, following maramataka for the tauhou. Made it. Ngā mihi ki a koutou katoa, nui te aroha ki a koutou I tēnei rā. Mauri ora.